Deserts have swallowed millions of acres of land in China, turning once thriving villages into ghost towns. But now China is fighting back. Over the past few decades, China has transformed some of its harshest deserts into green landscapes, deploying advanced engineering feats that were once thought impossible. And the whole world, especially the US, is now taking notice. How has China been able to achieve this remarkable feat? Join us as we reveal how China developed the perfect desert building technology that makes even the US envious. China's desertification problem. China has been making a conscious effort to address its desertification problem, which has been a persistent environmental challenge in the country. Desertification affects about 27% of the Chinese land area. This environmental condition has disrupted ecosystems and has had profound implications on the economy and the daily lives of millions of people. But how did it begin? In the 1950s, China began a rapid process of urbanization and industrialization, transforming much of its natural landscape to make way for new cities and extensive infrastructure. While this rapid development spurred economic growth, it also had serious environmental consequences. The alteration of natural land to support cities, industries, and transportation networks left China's land vulnerable to desertification, a process where fertile land becomes desert due to factors like deforestation, drought, and intensive land use. Desertification brought a range of environmental problems, including wind erosion, which stripped away nutrient-rich soil, and salinization, where salt buildup makes soil unproductive for agriculture. Combined with soil and water loss and even rock desertification, where vegetation loss exposes bare rock, these issues began to impact China's environment, economy, and quality of life. Recognizing these serious risks, China has implemented a range of ambitious initiatives to combat the issue, aiming to restore its land, support sustainable development, and improve the livelihoods of its people. One of these efforts is called the 3 North Shelter Forest Program, also known as the Great Green Wall. It is one of the largest afforestation projects in the world. Beginning in 1978, this project aims to create a vast belt of trees and vegetation stretching across northern China to serve as a barrier against the encroaching deserts. The program covers the country's north, northwest, and northeast, targeting the regions most affected by desertification. Another of the country's significant achievements is the development of major transportation infrastructure in desert areas, including highways through remote, arid regions, such as the Taklamakan Desert. Constructing roads through vast deserts like this is no easy feat, given the shifting sands, intense heat, and remote locations that make construction both costly and labor-intensive. The Taklamakan Highway project, for example, demonstrates China's commitment to building connections between remote desert areas and more populated regions, enhancing trade routes and providing more accessible paths for the transport of goods and services. But that's not all. Beyond afforestation and infrastructure projects, China has also prepared strict legal frameworks to protect its natural resources and promote sustainable land use. These regulations encourage responsible land management practices and seek to prevent activities that could exacerbate desertification, such as overgrazing and unsustainable farming. Through this legal commitment, China has developed effective policies for land reclamation, showcasing a model that has caught the attention of other countries, including the United States, which faces similar challenges in its arid regions.
Increasing the total forest area to 70.4 million hectares. These efforts have not only helped mitigate desertification, but also positively impacted the fight against climate change by enhancing carbon absorption and reducing soil erosion. A prime example of this impressive undertaking is the recent completion of a highway through the Taklamakan Desert in China. The Urakimbo Highway project began in October 2017 and took nearly 4 years to complete. The initial phase of the project involved analyzing the area and planning the route.
Now, what do these various projects really entail, and which one made the US envious? Let's unravel them, one after the other. China's unique approach to planting trees. The Great Green Wall project is an ambitious environmental initiative in China that started in 1978 to combat the severe desertification affecting its northern regions. Originally conceived as a massive afforestation project, the plan was to plant trees across 88 million acres of land, stretching along the Great Wall of China. This wall of trees was designed to halt the spread of deserts like the Gobi, which threatens large portions of northern China with its shifting sands, sandstorms, and wind erosion. These sandstorms can be devastating, not only within China, but also in neighboring countries such as Japan, North Korea, and South Korea. Realizing the scale of effort required, the Chinese government institutionalized a National Tree Planting Day in 1979, setting aside March 12 each year to encourage citizens to join the afforestation movement. This has since evolved into a nationwide effort, with over 78 billion trees planted in the past few decades, creating a lasting environmental shift. Beyond stabilizing land against desertification, the project also aims to provide timber and other resources for local communities, making it both an ecological and economic initiative. As mentioned earlier, the formal name for this initiative is the 3 North Shelter Forest Program. The project's goals are far-reaching. It strives to increase forest coverage in northern, northeastern, and northwestern China from 5% to 15%. Achieving this would represent a transformative change, reducing desertification, curbing sandstorms, and conserving water and soil that are essential for agricultural productivity and ecosystem health. Since 2003, the program has expanded its techniques to adapt to different regions' environmental conditions. In areas with enough moisture, seeds are spread using aircraft to cover large areas efficiently, while farmers in drier regions are given financial incentives to plant trees and shrubs manually. To manage this expansive project effectively, China plans to invest $1.2 billion in creating a comprehensive monitoring system, complete with maps and databases to track progress. For areas with intense sand movement, plants that are particularly resilient to arid conditions are chosen and arranged in checkerboard patterns to stabilize dunes. Stone barriers are also added near these plants to hold the sand in place, helping to build a natural crust that further prevents erosion and wind damage. From 2012 to 2022, China's green efforts led to an impressive 64 million hectares of new forested land. This extensive planting has improved forest coverage, revitalized ecosystems, and even expanded wetland areas, providing habitats for native species. In total, over 66 billion trees have been planted as part of this effort, covering an area roughly equivalent to the size of Ireland.
From 2012 to 2022. During this period, there were a lot of afforestation campaigns, and they covered a stunning area of 960 million mu, which is equivalent to an impressive 64 million hectares. This initiative has not only improved forest coverage, but has also revitalized ecosystems. It has resulted in the restoration and expansion of 12 million mu of wetlands. Today, over 66 billion trees have been planted. To put this into perspective, the land mass that these trees cover is equivalent to the size of Ireland as a nation. Even though trees are the main action of this initiative, there are scientific techniques that have increased its effects. Researchers from Chongqing Jiaotong University have developed a groundbreaking solution. They use plant cellulose to create a paste that is capable of transforming desert sands into fertile grounds. An experiment in the Ulanbu Desert converted 1.6 hectares.
While tree planting has been the focus, innovative scientific methods have also played a key role. Researchers from Chongqing Jiaotong University have developed a cellulose-based paste made from plants that can transform desert sand into fertile soil, allowing previously barren land to support agriculture. In the Ulanbu Desert, for example, an experiment successfully turned over 1.6 hectares of wasteland into cultivable ground, showcasing the potential for rapid agricultural development. Other methods, such as drip irrigation and sand barriers, have increased forest coverage in areas with limited water resources. Despite these achievements, the Great Green Wall project faces significant challenges. Ensuring the long-term success of these forests requires managing groundwater carefully, as overuse could deplete water resources in dry regions. However, there is a new development to address this, which we will be discussing soon. Another challenge is choosing appropriate native species for planting, as introducing non-native trees might disrupt local ecosystems and require unsustainable maintenance. Once it's all resolved, the Great Green Wall will represent one of the most ambitious environmental projects in the world, with implications extending far beyond China's borders. If successful, it could serve as a model for other countries struggling with desertification. But how is China fixing this groundwater problem for the Green Wall project? The fascinating water transfer project. China's geography has shaped its history, challenges, and ambitions. For thousands of years, the Yellow and Yangtze river systems in eastern China supported a thriving, dense population. These rivers feed fertile floodplains, allowing ancient Chinese civilizations to grow along their banks. The Yellow River Valley, in particular, has one of the largest stretches of arable land in the world, which has sustained continuous agricultural development and large populations for millennia. However, the northern and far western regions of China are marked by arid deserts like the Gobi and Taklamakan, and by the towering, inhospitable terrains of the Tibetan Plateau and Himalayas. This landscape has limited the agricultural potential of these regions, and subsequently the density of settlement. Today, more than 19.4% of China's population lives east of a notional dividing line that separates the country's arable lands from the deserts and mountains. This geographical division also means that northern China faces persistent water shortages, even with the progress of afforestation. To address this, in 1952, Chairman Mao Zedong proposed a bold idea: transferring water from the south to the parched northern regions. Half a century later, in 2002, after decades of planning and research, the government approved Mao's vision, launching what would become the largest water transfer project in the world, the South-North Water Transfer Project. This monumental project, designed to move fresh water from the Yangtze River basin to northern cities, involved building a network of aqueducts, tunnels, reservoirs, and dams. The project was organized into 3 routes: eastern, central, and western, each designed to carry water to specific parts of the north.
Founder of the People's Republic of China, proposed in 1952 the idea of simply transferring water from the south of the country to its dry northern regions. He was quoted as saying, "Water in the south is abundant, water in the north scarce. If possible, it would be fine to borrow a little." 50 years later, in 2002, Mao's vision was finally approved by the country's state council after years of extensive planning and research. The megaproject would officially be called the South-North Water Transfer Project, an ambitious plan to create a series of connected aqueducts, tunnels, reservoirs, and dams that would transfer fresh water from the water-abundant south to the water-starved north. The project would consist of 3 major canal systems that would be called the Eastern, Central, and Western routes. The eastern route begins near the city of Yangzhou through a major branch of the Yangtze River. A massive but old pumping station is responsible for pumping the water from the Yangtze into the Jinghan Grand Canal, the world's longest artificial waterway. From there, the water passes through an underground tunnel, bringing it across the Yellow River. Finally, a series of aqueducts.
The eastern route, which begins near Yangzhou and pulls water from the Yangtze River, uses an extensive system of canals and a series of pumping stations to move water northward. A key part of this route involves the Jinghan Grand Canal, the longest artificial waterway in the world, which connects the Yangtze to the Yellow River. From there, a system of underground tunnels and aqueducts transports water over 1,100 kilometers to the city of Tianjin, near Beijing. Construction of this route began in 2002, with water reaching Tianjin by 2017, ultimately supplying an annual volume of 1 billion cubic meters and supporting around 10 million people. The central route presented even greater engineering challenges because it did not have an existing canal system to build upon. Starting at the Danjiangkou Reservoir, engineers had to raise the height of the Danjiangkou Dam by 15 meters to ensure the water could flow downstream toward the north without requiring pumps. This alteration enabled water to flow naturally, but it came at a high social cost. Over 300,000 people had to be relocated to accommodate the expansion of the reservoir. This route features impressive structures like the 12-kilometer-long Shahe Aqueduct, which carries water above ground across the Shahe River. Completed in 2014, the 1,200-kilometer central route now supplies water directly to Beijing, providing a crucial resource to the capital and surrounding areas. In July 2022, China took a major step in its south-north water transfer project by announcing plans for an extensive underground tunnel to help meet northern China's water needs. This ambitious tunnel would lie about 1 kilometer below the surface, stretching from the massive Three Gorges Dam on the Yangtze River to the Han River, which ultimately connects to the central route of the transfer system. Once completed, this tunnel would be the longest and deepest artificial waterway of its kind, and by 2030, it's projected to transfer up to 12 cubic kilometers of water annually, representing about a third of the Three Gorges Dam's entire capacity. This added flow would further bolster water supplies to the north, reaching even as far as Beijing.
The Han for fresh water. So in July 2022, the Chinese government announced that they were building a massive underground tunnel that would supply the necessary water. This tunnel would run 1 kilometer below the surface and connect the Three Gorges Dam to the Han River, and eventually to the central route all the way up to Beijing. Once completed, this tunnel...
However, while the eastern and central routes of the project are already well underway, the western route remains in the planning stage and is by far the most challenging to construct. The proposal for the western route involves an intricate network of waterways and tunnels designed to move water from the Yangtze River to the Yellow River, traversing the demanding terrain of the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau. At elevations between 3 and 5 kilometers above sea level, this region poses considerable challenges due to its rugged topography and severe climate conditions. Completing this route would require engineers to carve through mountains, overcoming the natural barriers of one of the most extreme landscapes on Earth. This is an endeavor that is challenging not only for China, but also for many other countries affected by deforestation, including the US. And China is definitely growing through it. What new developments have helped improve the company's technology? How collaboration is helping to improve China's deforestation technology? Initially, the Great Green Wall program relied heavily on monoculture planting, focusing on a single tree species planted on a massive scale to keep costs and logistics manageable. While this approach is efficient, it also poses ecological risks. Monoculture planting can deplete soil nutrients faster than diverse planting would, making it harder for the land to support plant life over time. It also creates vulnerability. A single pest outbreak or disease can quickly devastate an entire region of trees, leading to large losses of plants, resources, and time. To address these issues, China has adapted its methods, integrating a more diverse range of trees and plants. Areas prone to desert encroachment are now protected with fences, which can help stabilize the soil and reduce sand movement. Additionally, seeds that are better adapted to local ecosystems are being used to increase survival rates. This shift from monoculture to biodiversity not only improves the resilience of the new forests, but also supports local ecosystems, as diverse plant species attract a wider range of insects and animals. However, even these more ecologically sound strategies have their own challenges. For example, creating physical barriers like fences may have unintentional side effects on local climate patterns and biodiversity. Deserts have unique mineral compositions that contribute to global mineral supplies, so transforming these areas into forests could impact mineral distribution. Also, altering vast stretches of desert might influence local and regional temperatures and change how heat is reflected in these regions. These factors highlight the delicate balance required in such a large-scale environmental intervention. The project has also inspired remarkable contributions from individuals and private companies. Yin Yusen, an individual contributor, worked for over 30 years to transform approximately 4,700 hectares of barren land in China's semi-arid west into thriving green fields. Yin's dedication was publicly recognized by Chinese President Xi Jinping, who praised such efforts as significant contributions to China's ecological well-being. Yin's story is a powerful example of how individual action can make a difference in a national project.
Global mineral supply chain. This transformation could mean the potential loss of these valuable natural resources. While the leaders of China have been at the forefront of this green revolution, the hard work of individuals and private entities cannot be understated. Out of the countless people who are dedicated to this initiative, Yin Yuzhen converted approximately 4,700 hectares of barren land in the Yuxin Banner of the semi-arid western region of China for more than 3 difficult decades into a green field. The National People's Congress saw Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, acknowledge Yin.
Private companies are also playing a role in supporting China's afforestation goals. REN, a company focused on environmental sustainability, funds various initiatives aimed at combating climate change. They support both high-tech solutions, like advanced methods for breaking down greenhouse gases, and community-level efforts, such as working with indigenous groups to protect rainforests. By engaging in these diverse activities, REN highlights the complexity of environmental challenges and encourages community involvement, showing how companies can contribute to large-scale ecological projects. China's commitment to fighting desertification extends beyond its borders. Recognizing the global nature of the problem, China has actively pursued international partnerships to share knowledge and collaborate on sustainable solutions. For example, the Belt and Road Initiative includes agreements with partner countries focused on combating desertification. China has also established international research centers dedicated to preventing and mitigating desert spread, further underscoring its dedication to addressing ecological issues on a global scale. Through these collaborations, new technologies are emerging that could significantly enhance desert reclamation efforts. One example is liquid nanoclay, a technique that combines clay with water to create a soil mixture capable of supporting plant life even in arid desert conditions. Advanced irrigation technologies, like center pivot irrigation, are also being explored to make water distribution in deserts more efficient. Integrating these methods with China's Great Green Wall could create a powerful model for desert reclamation that other countries could follow. But China is also working on other projects, such as building transportation systems in the desert. How is the country navigating this project? The Desert Highway System. The Yimbo Highway Project, which began in October 2017, was an ambitious undertaking in China's efforts to develop infrastructure through desert terrain. Nearly 4 years later, after extensive planning, leveling, and building, the highway was completed. This project required a deep understanding of the desert's varied landscape, from high sand dunes to low-lying areas, as well as the challenging climate marked by frequent sandstorms. Before the first layers of the highway could even be laid, engineers and planners conducted thorough analyses to identify the best route, taking into account both the topography and the need for the highway to withstand extreme weather conditions. Once the planning phase was over, construction teams began preparing the roadbed, a crucial step in any road project but especially challenging in the desert. Sand dunes had to be leveled and the lower areas filled to create a stable base. Engineers used a multi-layered approach in building the road, using materials like gravel, asphalt, and concrete to ensure that the highway would remain stable and resist shifting sands. Beyond just building the road, a substantial 58 million square meters of grass grids and over 900 kilometers of sand fences were installed along the highway. These sand control measures are essential in deserts, as they prevent sand from drifting onto the road, maintaining visibility and safety for travelers.
Once the project was ready for execution, construction teams began the process of preparing and leveling the roadbed. This phase required leveling sand dunes and filling in low-lying areas, with the goal of building the highway using multiple layers of materials like gravel, asphalt, and concrete to prevent sand from encroaching on the builders installed 58 million square meters of grass grids and over 900 kilometers of sand fences along the route. These measures help prevent sand from blowing onto the road. Additionally, the construction included the deployment of essential infrastructure, such as bridges, drainage systems, and culverts to ensure the road's safety and utility under all weather conditions. Finally, the highway was paved, marked with dividers.
Alongside the Yimbo Highway, the South Xinjiang Railway project was another key development, extending across China's largest desert, the Taklamakan, in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. The railway stretches over 1,213 kilometers, connecting the southern cities of Hotan and Kashgar, and took 7 years to complete, from 2009 to 2016. This monumental project cost approximately $5.9 billion and involved constructing an intricate network of infrastructure. Over 2,207 bridges and 23 tunnels were built to navigate the challenging desert landscape, in addition to 8 railway stations along the way. The construction also included laying down over 1,100 kilometers of track. Building this railway in a desert required carefully preparing the ground for a durable track foundation. Engineers leveled, compacted, and stabilized the soil, ensuring it could support the weight of the railway. Layers of gravel were added to improve stability, topped with a mixture of crushed stone to help distribute the weight evenly and prevent shifting under the heavy trains. This system is crucial in the desert, where temperature extremes can place significant stress on the infrastructure. To account for the region's severe temperature variations, engineers employed special techniques to make sure the railway remained stable and safe for trains. During the construction of major infrastructure through desert regions, China's engineering teams also took specific measures to address the challenging environment, relying on both advanced technology and practical solutions to maintain smooth progress. For instance, high temperatures in these regions could easily cause concrete to harden too quickly, so the teams used quick-drying concrete, a specialized material that prevents rapid hardening in intense heat, ensuring a stable foundation. To protect workers from the harsh desert conditions, cooling systems and shade tents were set up at the construction sites, helping to reduce heat stress and dehydration. To prevent wind and sand erosion, an innovative, eco-friendly solution was implemented along the 825-kilometer stretch of railway between Hotan and Ruoqiang on the southern edge of the Taklamakan Desert. Nearly 13 million shrubs and tall trees were planted along this route. The taller trees, planted on the outer edges, act as windbreaks, slowing down the wind that sweeps through the desert. Meanwhile, the inner rows of shrubs stabilize the sand, further reducing the risk of encroachment on the tracks. These plants, however, require consistent care and watering, a challenge in the arid desert. To address this, an automated irrigation system controlled by smartphone technology was introduced. This efficient setup allows workers to monitor and adjust watering schedules remotely, ensuring that the green corridor remains healthy and effective. The 825-kilometer-long Green Corridor is part of a larger initiative in China to create vegetation barriers that combat desertification. This effort not only protects critical infrastructure, but also fosters economic and social development along the route. According to Ann Haunter, spokesperson for the lead construction company, the system of grass grids, shrubs, and saplings protects the railway from sand intrusion, ensuring safer and more efficient travel. It also reduces accident risks caused by sandstorms, a common issue in desert transport. As China is working to address its deforestation problem, it's still taking advantage of the benefits the arid environment offers. How is the Chinese government doing this? China's investment in renewable energy. In addition to infrastructure projects, China has made substantial advances in renewable energy. One example is the country's first solar power plant, located about 80 kilometers west of the capital. This plant was built through a partnership between 3 major Chinese companies, with a $417 million investment, and covers an impressive 10 square kilometers with around 2 million solar panels. This project marks a significant milestone in China's shift toward renewable energy, supporting its goal to diversify energy sources and reduce carbon emissions. The inauguration of this solar power plant drew prominent figures, including the Emir of Qatar and the Prime Minister and Minister of Interior, who acknowledged the plant's importance for the Middle East. In the Taklamakan Desert, which stretches across the southern part of China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, advancements have also been made with a focus on sustainability and clean energy. The Taklamakan is known as the world's second-largest shifting sand desert and is China's largest desert, posing a formidable challenge to infrastructure and environmental stability. Cutting through this harsh landscape is the Tarim Desert Highway, a 532-kilometer road that has long required innovative measures to protect it from encroaching sands. In 2005, a major effort was undertaken by the Tarim oil field to plant a shelter belt of 20 million trees along the highway to keep the sands in check. These trees, essential for stabilizing the desert environment, were initially irrigated with water pumped using diesel engines. a process that was costly and carbon-intensive. In a significant shift toward clean energy, the Chinese government is now constructing 86 photovoltaic power stations along the highway. These solar-powered stations are replacing diesel engines, representing a major step in reducing carbon emissions and promoting sustainable development. The photovoltaic stations use solar energy to pump groundwater, ensuring that the tree shelter belts remain irrigated without emitting carbon dioxide. This move is expected to achieve zero carbon emissions along this critical stretch of desert infrastructure.
Dioxide emissions to zero. These solar power plants are the result of initiatives that began in 2010, when the first 12 solar power plants were installed along the desert highway. These plants were established with the aim of exploring the feasibility of using clean energy as an alternative to diesel for irrigation purposes. The diesel generators were replaced with photovoltaic systems to pump water, with each valve station custom designed to match the local groundwater levels. The solar panels have a lifespan of approximately 25 years and are designed to withstand desert conditions, requiring only periodic.
The transition to solar power along the Tarim Desert Highway began as an experiment in 2010, when 12 solar power stations were built to explore renewable energy options. The success of these initial efforts paved the way for the large-scale renovation project underway today. Each of the 86 new power stations is carefully designed to fit the specific conditions of the surrounding desert, such as varying groundwater levels. The photovoltaic panels, which have a lifespan of 25 years, are built to withstand the harsh sandstorms of the region. Regular cleaning and maintenance are necessary to keep them operational, but they are also equipped with energy storage cabinets that provide power for up to 7 hours in cloudy weather.
When 12 solar power stations were built along the desert highway to explore the use of clean energy as an alternative to diesel energy for pumping irrigation water. The success of these early efforts led to the renovation of 86 well stations, replacing diesel generators with photovoltaic power generators for pumping irrigation water. The photovoltaic power stations are designed and built differently at each valve station depending on the specific groundwater levels of the area. The photovoltaic panels, which have a lifespan of 25 years, are designed to withstand the sandstone of the desert and require regular cleaning.
This solar project aligns with Qatar's broader aim of generating 20% of its electricity from renewable sources by 2030, reflecting a shift from traditional fossil fuels to cleaner energy sources. Chinese companies also played a critical role in constructing the Al-Kharsa solar power plant, introducing advanced technology that increased power generation capacity by 20%. According to Li Jin, the plant's construction director, over 60% of the investment went toward automated robotic arms to keep the solar panels clean and efficient, an innovation that could inspire future investments in renewable energy throughout the Middle East, where the United Arab Emirates already leads with significant solar initiatives. Through the combined use of renewable energy technology, green corridors, and anti-desertification measures like grass barriers and vegetation, China is effectively combating environmental challenges. The use of greenery along roads and railways has proven successful in stabilizing desert areas, allowing China to move forward with infrastructure projects while preserving the land and protecting people from the desert's harsher elements. The immense progress in China's desert regions. Because the Chinese government has made major investments to curb the spread of desertification, taking a dual approach of adopting innovative techniques and strengthening policies, this commitment has led to substantial progress. Since 2012, China has reclaimed 4.33 million hectares of desertified land, with over half of the country's desert-prone areas now restored. Through initiatives such as afforestation and eco-friendly infrastructure, China has created a vast green ecological barrier along sandstorm-prone regions in the north. This barrier not only stabilizes soil, but also prevents erosion, helping reduce the spread of sand into surrounding areas. Desertification, which is one of the greatest global environmental challenges, affects over 2 billion people across 167 countries, so it is not surprising it is also affecting China. At the peak of the desertification period, the country was losing around 1.4 million hectares of land annually to desertification. In response, China intensified its reforestation efforts, planting a remarkable 64 million hectares of trees over the past decade, as we have explored. This large-scale planting has increased the national forest coverage rate to 23.4%, up by 2.68% since 2012, resulting in an annual reduction of desertified land by about 242,000 hectares. China's success has become a model for countries facing similar environmental threats, proving that persistent efforts can reverse the trend of desertification. Another striking example of China's progress is the transformation of the Kubuki Desert, China's seventh largest desert, located in the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Through continuous afforestation projects, the government has turned over 640 hectares of barren desert into green, fertile land. This green transformation has restored biodiversity in the region, bringing back various plant and animal species that had once been scarce. The local ecosystem has greatly improved, providing better conditions for agriculture and improving air quality, which in turn benefits the health and livelihoods of local communities. These projects have also had significant economic impacts, helping over 100,000 people rise out of poverty through job creation in forestry and land restoration efforts. Through these combined efforts, extensive tree planting, desert stabilization measures, and the integration of renewable energy, China has made tremendous progress in controlling desertification. The green barriers, solar-powered irrigation systems, and large-scale afforestation projects all work together to transform desert areas, creating sustainable ecosystems and laying the groundwork for future development. As a result, China's work stands as a global example of how coordinated environmental efforts can reclaim desert land, support renewable energy goals, and create opportunities for local communities. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.